Hi, this is Carlos. Look for my book, Lessons from Mars, at Amazon or wherever you buy books, or visit my website, lessonsfrommars.net. Hi, guys. Welcome back. We're talking about high-performance collaboration and teamwork based on what I learned while I was an associate at Mars for 17 years. I'm Carlos Valdez-Tepena, and I wrote a book called Lessons from Mars, How One Global Corporation Cracked the Code on High-Performance Collaboration and Teamwork. In an earlier episode, I talked about what I came to call the three imperatives: clarity, intentionality, and discipline. These arose out of the research I had done on over 120 teams I'd worked with at Mars. And basically what the three imperatives describe is what teams need if they're going to be successful. They need sufficient clarity about what requires collaboration and why it's important in order to be more intentional in their collaboration. And that has to be supported by enough discipline to keep things on track. Regular meetings that are about the right things, that are focused on the big what and the big why I've talked about. Okay, so I want to talk about clarity for a second. And this is an idea that started to formulate early as in my research. I remembered a team I'd worked with. Gosh, I don't even remember when it was, 2008 maybe. It was the North American M&M's team, and we were in the Hackettstown, New Jersey office of what was then called M&M Mars. It was a room with about 18 people in it, and it was a conference room with a big oval table, although there were a number of people pressed up against the walls because there were too many people for the table, actually for the room. It was a bright, sunny winter day. The shades, these Venetian blinds, were closed most of the way, but there's a little light getting in. But that was okay. We didn't want a lot of light because projected on the wall was a spreadsheet. And that was probably a greater source of light than the sun at that point. This spreadsheet with about 40 lines on it. You could barely read the thing. And there were these people sitting around the room, spreadsheet projected. I would say 3 people were involved in a debate about one of the lines of the spreadsheet, while everybody else in that room, and I was attending, by the way, I'd been invited to help them with their team effectiveness, so I was observing them at work. 3 people arguing, and the other 14 or 15 were either on their BlackBerries or on their computers doing emails, preparing presentations, doing the work they actually could have been doing at their desk. They weren't paying attention here anyway, right? 3 people were holding down one end of the room with an argument about a tiny spreadsheet. And I'm watching this play out. This, by the way, was a full day meeting. This was going to be 8 hours of this in the dark. And I thought to myself, this group of people has no idea, none, why they're all together in this room right now. I actually remember thinking, if the president of the organization walked in and looked around this room and everybody had a number written across their foreheads that represented their hourly salary, wages, and benefits, what they were costing the company on an hourly basis, the president would freak out thinking, why are you all in here wasting your time? Go to your desk and do something productive. Watching an argument isn't productive. Doing a slide presentation in here while you're distracted by an argument isn't productive. The problem here was a lack of clarity. The team didn't understand why it was a team, except that they all worked on the same brand, or what specific work required them to be together, right? That was the root. Now, I wouldn't have called it back then clarity. I just knew they had no sense of purpose. Had they had a sense of purpose, it might have changed what they were talking about, how many people were in the room, how long they were meeting, but they lacked that. That has become, for me, a touchstone. Without clarity, we waste a lot of time in meetings we don't need to be a part of, listening to stuff we don't need to hear. So the clarity imperative is meant to address that. We've got to get clarity about the things that make our being together valuable. That's the clarity imperative. Next, we're going to talk about intentionality, which really is at the heart of the framework. Next time. Thanks. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please rate the show on iTunes or contact me with your feedback through my website, lessonsfrommars.net. You can find my book, Lessons from Mars, at Amazon or wherever you prefer to buy books, or, again, through my website, lessonsfrommars.net.